5. Tom Burton here with Brandon Lee and Carson. And Carson, you don't look like you're in your normal office. I don't see the normal Carson setup.
No, I'm actually in the office, which is not normal, right?
Oh, wow.
So I'm at HQ here, as you can see.
Does that say LinkedIn Lounge? Are you
Yes,
broadcasting live from the lounge?
you got it, Tom. I don't disappoint. I bring the big game.
Whew.
Yeah. And
You
usually you
just-
don't wear a coat for us either. I really feel, man, I feel underdressed.
Yeah, I might have to start for you guys. You've earned it.
So, hey,
you
tell
just
us.
elevated the show by a lot, Carson.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm trying to. I figured I owed it to our audience after all this time.
So, hey, before we do, I know you have a limited time, Carson, because you're there at home office. But tell everybody a little bit. What is the LinkedIn Lounge? Like, what is it? How does it work?
Yeah, just a little hotspot hub, with the LinkedIn theme, and there's an opportunity to right over here step in and have your profile picture taken. So I've indulged myself a few times today.
Wow. Do they tell you how to comment and write posts?
No, that's what you guys are for.
Okay. Well, then we're officially part of the LinkedIn Lounge. Yeah, Karina is jealous. No, we're all jealous.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a social selling for newbies field trip to the LinkedIn Lounge. I think that should be our goal.
Come on down.
For everybody on the live show, Carson is in Seattle at headquarters, Microsoft LinkedIn Lounge. So why don't you all tell us where you're commenting in from, so we know where everybody else is.
I can tell you I am not in the LinkedIn Lounge. Anyway, Carson, I know you're limited, but you wanted to jump in here because you didn't want to miss the dad joke challenge. So
I had to keep the streak alive. It's kind of like when Cal Ripken felt compelled to go out and play every day. I just had to be here. So,
all right. Well, do you want to start first, live from the lounge? No. All right,
no,
Brandon,
I'll go second. I'll give Brandon a shot. I got a good one today. I'm pretty happy with this one.
Oh, good. So I went simple and a little old school on this one. Ready? All right. So why did the deer get braces? Because he had bucked teeth.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Okay.
It's hard to say. You guys have the exact same reaction, and then you either go, that was really bad, or, oh, that's not so bad, or that was pretty good. But your facial expressions are always exactly the same.
So what you're saying is we have good poker faces.
Yeah, great poker face. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Right. We're laughing inside. We just, hold it in. All right, Carson. I would say the bar is, I don't know, middle of the road. It's not low, but it's not high either.
Well, here, I'm bringing the heat today. So I asked ChatGPT to prepare a funny dad joke, and this is what they gave me. Why don't oysters share their pearls?
Ooh.
Because they're shellfish.
I vote Carson.
Yeah, Carson wins. The lounge wins.
That was a winner. Live from the lounge, guys.
Do you get better jokes? You get better jokes when you're at home, office there? Do they give you like the upgraded versions?
I have been learning a lot this week about AI and enhancements. And I think one of the coolest things too is like a personal story that I heard that, someone there, they had a close relative that, spoke another language, and they hadn't been able to meaningfully connect for that's about once a year that they could meaningfully connect, and they needed to do extensive translation, and with ChatGPT you could do it in minutes, and now they're having frequent correspondence. It's just really cool to see some of the innovations in AI. So really glad to see that, and I do feel like it's funny. I made a post yesterday on LinkedIn about this. It kind of reminds me of when I was a kid and we'd go to, St. Louis was the big city. And when my kids would take me to the big toy store every time, there was always this anticipation and excitement. That's how I felt yesterday when I first saw LinkedIn Lounge. So,
no, I mean, that's like going to the Vatican or something, it's like for this group here, this is big deal.
Yes, social selling, holy ground.
That's right, holy ground.
I can't wait to catch the rest of the episode later and hear about the LinkedIn hacks. I know you guys are going to bring the heat today, so good luck with the show.
All right,
Carson, thanks for showing up.
Yep.
Always a pleasure.
And you won by far. You've overwhelmed.
Even Butch voted for you.
Wow. That's saying something. Butch, thank you. I really feel like I achieved something today.
Yeah.
That's it.
I won Butch over.
Yeah.
It's good
It
stuff.
was the power of the mothership.
That's it. We're channeling it here. So the best is yet to come.
Well,
Thanks, guys.
All right.
We're going to
Have a good
miss you
day.
today, Carson. Safe
See you
travel.
next time. Thank you. See you guys.
Yeah.
All right. So as Carson drops off, I just want to say welcome to Brandon and Apollo Beach. Karina, I believe you're in England and outside London. Ron, Oak Park. Butch, Alpharetta. Linda from Port St. Joe, Florida. And yeah, quite a few all over the place. I think we're scattered all over here today.
Karina's in Southampton, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And we got Dave in there as well. So yeah, hey, let's
get into our hacks.
Yeah, let's get into the hacks. And before we get started too, I want to let everyone know that we've been talking about doing an AI. Hey, Mark Clausen's here from Phoenix. Hey, Mark. We've been talking about doing a more deeper AI show. We know that there's a lot of stuff out there right now, and a lot of people AI this, AI that, and we wanted to go a little bit slower on doing an entire show around it to be more thoughtful. But Tom is going to bring some AI hacks to today, so we're going to start touching on it. We probably should have put that in our title. Let people know.
I just said really cool. I said there are going to be some really cool hacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, Carson is in Seattle for a customer meeting or a prospect meeting. But I think obviously with everything going on at Microsoft, he's probably getting immersed into a lot more of this AI stuff, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. He's going to come back ready for that episode.
And I really do want to figure out how we do a live episode from the LinkedIn Lounge, all three of us. That is my next. I think we can make it happen.
Cool.
Yeah, I
maybe,
think
maybe we can make that happen for our 50th episode.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's good. Well, that's 5 episodes from now, so we better get moving.
Or 52 and hit our 1 year mark.
All right. So, hey, Chris in DC. So today's show is sponsored by Modern Seller HQ. If you're not a member of Modern Seller HQ, you should be. It's free, modernsellerhq.com, and it's really picking up. I think we've added, I don't know how many people have come in the last week, but a lot.
Yeah.
So,
and Tom, as we talk about Modern Seller HQ, I think we should say for everybody on the podcast watching too that, the show's called Social Selling for Newbies, and we did that intentionally. We know that social selling is a big SEO term, and it's a term that a lot of people use. But what we're talking about in Modern Seller HQ is how do we use these digital tools like social to predict our revenue? Right. This isn't like, oh, social selling, it's so cute, and we get a lot of that. Like, and I posted on it today that, we don't have time for that as an answer a lot of leaders give when you just mention social selling. And what that tells me is they don't know the framework or the foundation of using social and digital as communication platforms. And they kind of throw it into that cute rainbows and butterfly thing and say they don't have time for it. So when inside of Modern Seller HQ, we dive into the stuff, the deep stuff, and Tom won't say it about himself, but I will. A big foundation of what we talk about is from his book. And you see right in his book, we talk about he talks about predictive revenue growth. Predictable. Sorry, I was trying to read backwards.
That's all right.
But just a little plug for Modern Seller HQ, especially we get a lot of sales producers that are come into the show. You want to start talking to your leaders, get them in Modern Seller HQ or any of our episodes where we're really driving home the message of how are you predicting your revenues? How are your forecast models holding up right now when your KPIs are still pound the phone, pound the phone, pound the phone? Because we have a better way. We have a proven better way. You just got to take a breath, take the time to really learn a little bit about it and get over the whole social selling is just a cute thing that you should do on your own time.
Well, and I think a lot of people here certainly don't on our podcast and on our live show don't have that attitude. But yeah, I do think that is an attitude sometimes that exists higher up in the food chain sometimes or at the higher levels. And this is all about, at the end of the day, how do you sell more? How do you sell more predictably? How do you forecast more predictably? How do you forecast better? And how do you be more efficient, right? I mean, that's all when you get down right to it, that's what we're all trying to accomplish. So anyway, Yeah, a lot more to come in Modern Seller HQ and so forth. Let's get into our first hack, Brandon. And I
Yep.
know you've got the first one there.
Yeah, so I got, I thought a lot about this because there's obviously a lot of different tactics or hacks, but a question that we get asked a lot is, or a statement we hear a lot is, oh, my prospects are not on social. Anyone else think that, hear that?
I've never heard that before.
Yeah,
No.
you don't lie very well. I thought you had a good poker face. So, there's, excuse me, there's a few different ways that we can go about doing this, but one of the ways that I find is the quickest way to find out who in a company is active. So normally the first thing you'll do a search, you find the person by their title or their name or whatever, like this is my prospect, and you get to their post and you go, oh, they last posted 3 years ago. And then you'll click and you go look at their comments and you go, oh, okay, they commented like 3 months ago, but they're not very consistently active. And a lot of times people put their head down and go, oh, they're not there. And then they pick up the phone, they pick up the email, and they go back to the old motions and back into that same kind of frustration. Sound familiar to anybody? Podcast, you say yes out loud. We won't hear you, but you'll feel good about saying it. And anyone on the live show, throw it in the comments if this sounds familiar. So two ways that I like to go find who is active. Number one is go look for their HR person. The HR people tend to be on LinkedIn a lot more because they're posting jobs. Now, if they've been downsizing and other things, maybe that's not accurate. But the HR person tends to be somebody that posts quite a bit. But the other one is go to the business page. Should I show this?
Yeah, if you can. Sure.
Yeah. So let me do this. Add to my stream. There we go. I'm just going to show my entire screen over here. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to, let me refresh. I'm going to take just anybody here. So Trevor. So I'm going to click on him, and then I'm going to go to his company. And this is just so you guys see, this was just totally random. Go to their company. And like I said before, you've done all your searching, you look, the person you want to talk to, they're not there. I like to go to their post, go to their company post. And a lot of times, if you just click on the likes, you click on this number, and that one was a pretty busy land. They get a lot of engagement. But I click on the likes and I start scrolling through to see, because like this one right here, a lot of times the people who like the company post are people from the company.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case right here, look, content strategist at Infuse Media. I want to be clear. Your prospect's not active. The other route is to go find other people from the company who are active, build that healthy connection with them, and then ask for the referral. So the way that we do that in this case, here he is, content strategist at Infuse. Click his name. It's going to open up a new tab and take you right to that person.
Yeah.
Now you can go down to their show all activity, and you can see their post. You can see their comments. In my case, what I would do is I would come over here and add them into fist bump. That way I put them on a task sequence. So I get a reminder every week or every few days to make sure I go comment on them. But that's, I think, a very quick and very beneficial hack to find out who in the company is active on social media if the person you want to talk to is not.
Well, and that aligns with what we were talking about. I'm pretty sure it was last week with Bren and Carson is, hey, at the end of the day, right, you're trying to build a relationship, not just with an individual, but with an account, with a company.
Right.
And you may not get your first choice if you want to as the first person you want to build a relationship with. But even if you're doing the HR person or other, we talked about this, right? Decisions are not always made anymore by a decision maker. They're
Right.
made by a lot of influencers in that organization. So not only does that work, your hack not only works to find if you don't have somebody, but even as you're trying to build out your relationships within the organization, it helps you see who would be potentially sort of the next people to build out that relationship as you kind of look to spread out within the organization. So I
Yeah.
think that's a double hack, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, and that's really where it came from, is last week's episode, and talking with Bryn and Carson and you and I talking about it. Is I thought about that for people. It's we get so tunnel vision sometimes on this specific person. I mean, you and I have had customers that we can almost predict it now. We start getting into the social selling framework. And as soon as you start, we don't even get to the buyer enablement piece where the real power is. We start talking social prospecting and they go, oh,
Yeah.
the people we want to talk to aren't active.
Yeah.
So,
No, again, all of it helps you to look at that you're trying to build a relationship with an account, with a company, and there are obviously the people that you're doing that with. But
yeah.
it opens up that door to look a lot more holistically. And I think, well, that ties into my hack or my first hack. And this is some of an AI hack. And part of what I'm going to talk about, probably a lot of you have done partially before, but there's a kind of a part two, which I'm going to go over today, which I learned by going through this hack. So this first hack revolves around commenting. And what I do is I'll take a post, let's say a post I want to comment on, but I'm not 100% sure I know what I want to say or the best thing to do. So I'll copy maybe not the whole post, but the first part of the post. And then I'll go to Chat GPT. Now, this is the thing that you have to do when you get there. You don't just copy it in and say, give me a LinkedIn comment on that. The
Mhm.
key with Chat GPT is framing the right directive so it works for you the way you want it to work. So what I'll say is I'll say, I am an expert, or I'm sorry, I'm a LinkedIn commenting expert. So right away, you're telling Chat GPT, I want you to put on your hat as a LinkedIn commenting expert. So that's the first thing you want to put down there. Then I'll say, depending upon what I want to do, I'll say, please take the following post and turn it into a LinkedIn comment that has a bit of humor, but also provides some very specific educational or whatever you want to say, follow up or directive or however you want to frame whatever it is that
Mhm.
you're doing. So I tell it very specifically what I want it to do. And then when I always say, and use emojis, I say that as well. So the prompt is basically, hey, put on your hat, Chat GPT, of a LinkedIn commenting expert. So make sure you're looking at it through that lens, and then create a comment that again has certain attributes to it, whether it's humor, education, gratitude, whatever the case may be. You can put that in there, and then again, if you want to use emojis or whatever. Now, probably, and so then that comes back with a comment, and you'll get a comment that is pretty much in alignment with that. And if you do it over and over, as the system learns more and more and kind of learns more about what you do and how you do it, it'll get better and better. But so some of you may have done this, maybe you didn't do the full prompt or whatever, but this is what I learned out of doing this, which I think was even, as I did this a few times, it helped me to refine personally my commenting voice
Mhm.
because things would come back from, I go, not quite right. And I'd go and I'd, have it do something different. Or I might come back with another prompt that says, no, that's a little bit too corny. Can you make it less corny or something along those lines? And then what would happen is I keep going and I get, okay, that's it. But then as I did this a few times, I realized, wait a minute, this is really I'm starting to understand my voice better by interacting with Chat
Mhm.
GPT. So
Yeah.
even if you don't want to use Chat GPT to create comments for you, you can use it as a tool to refine your own voice by going back and forth with the AI
Yeah.
to get your own voice better. And I found
Mhm.
it as an amazing training tool for commenting. And then the other one I'm going to do in a minute is about posting, but that's about commenting, and then that ties in. And you could even go one step further, like to your point, if you add the HR director, make this comment even more appropriate for somebody who's HR oriented
Right.
or marketing oriented or sales oriented, but let Chat GPT go to work for you.
Yeah, and you know what I love about that is that it's the next, version, the better version of a lot of things that we train people to do. Like, we know that commenting and writing posts are kind of scary, right? It's like public speaking. And it always reminds me when we think about it is, people are more afraid of public speaking than death, which
Yeah.
means at a funeral, they'd rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy,
Yeah.
right? But in order to help people start getting comfortable, one of the hacks that I had was read the comment or read the post and then close your eyes and review the post, but picture the person saying it. Because in a live environment, if I'm standing across from the person and they said that, and I just walk away and don't say anything, it's rude. We would never do that. We always respond. And so it was the hack of just closing your eyes, imagining, and then write whatever it is that you're thinking of saying. Like, don't overthink, what am I going to write? Just write what you started to naturally think so that you write as you speak.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is a hack is just taking it to the next level. And what I love about it is it's training you while you're getting help with your comments.
Mm-hmm.
So you think you're kind of hacking or cheating, like, oh, I'm just getting my comments from ChatGPT. But what'll happen is, just like the old hack of closing your eyes, is you get more and more comfortable with it. You start getting confident in it. And then next thing you know, you're not even thinking about, oh, what do I comment? You just read it, you comment. It becomes very, very second nature.
No, it's actually kind of a workout tool for you. It's like trains your muscle, right?
Yeah.
Your commenting muscle by going back and forth like that. And it validates for yourself to, okay, this is more along what I want to add a little humor, but I don't want to be corny, or I don't want to be extreme. And sometimes ChatGPT can go a bit extreme on certain things.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure.
but it just helps going back. It's a tool, it's a training tool to actually come that together. And as Dave said here, right, he says ChatGPT has helped him find his voice. That's all you're trying to do, but not just find your voice, but for me, refine it and get more confident with it. And again, you can do this with the different roles that you're talking about, because maybe your voice would be a little bit different with an executive or a CEO than it would with a lower level person or an HR person. Right. So you can train this and use this to train not only just in general, but how you're talking to and going forward. Yeah. I mean, it's an amazing tool that, never goes away and doesn't take a nap or whatever.
Yeah, and I'd like to really emphasize here for everybody is it's down to the prompts and the detail. I think, like anything else, people have started using ChatGPT, and I've heard people go, yeah, it's okay, but it doesn't sound like a human voice or whatever. Like, well, you got to keep training it, right? You got to work on the prompts and how you're explaining with more detail. And the more detail you give, the better result it's going to provide you.
Yeah. And I have found that when I do that first part of the prompt where I said, I am a LinkedIn commenting expert, or I am I am an expert blog writer, or whatever you're trying to do with it, it orients ChatGPT right away with, okay, I know this is what I'm doing here. And so I'm finding I'm getting better results. The more it's called a directive, the more directives I'm giving it in the beginning, the better it's going to respond as we go along. Mark says that the same concept holds true for your content you put in your profile, right? Again, you're absolutely right. Right. You could go back and forth with this on your profile. You could go back and forth on really anything. I just use it as an example with, commenting, because that would cut into what you're doing.
Yeah. And I love that his comment he just added. Yeah. And Dave, garbage in, garbage out. But for you on the podcast, Mark wrote, I added, and this is about him writing his about section. And what we know about Mark is that he rides a Harley. So he added, make it sound like a Harley motorcycle rider wrote it for his about section. That's such a great example. Yeah. And if everybody on this episode, you take nothing else away from it, is the prompts are the key. The directive that you give ChatGPT makes the huge difference between, it's fine, and, oh my gosh, this is 90% of the way there, and I just had to fill it in a little bit.
Right. But, it's interesting, and we can move on in a second, but you think about Mark's comment. I wonder, and Mark, would you know how to write like a Harley motorcycle rider right off the bat? Or by going back and forth with ChatGPT, you go, oh yeah, I can see how now that could be a voice that Like I wouldn't know how to do that or how to,
Right.
write like it's like you need that back and forth to really to get it good there. So,
Yeah.
all right, I have another AI hack in a minute, but we're back over to you, Brandon, for your next.
Yeah, and you're going to go to post, right? So I'm going to
Go
move.
to post.
I'm going to move my. Um, well, I'll go to the commenting one. Here's the hack is just about commenting, and then we'll go to post. So I'm going a little bit out of my order. The commenting, and I know that some people out there go, "Oh yeah, Brandon, you focus on commenting because you guys, you and Daniel built Fist Bump." It's actually the other way around, right? We built Fist Bump because we saw the power of commenting and being consistent. So here's the hack is be a commenter. Use Tom's hack with ChatGPT to get more comfortable and get better at it. But here's why commenting is so important. Number one, we can't control who sees our posts. So we think that we post like, oh, we're telling the world. Well, no, you're telling a very small piece of the world. Who sees it? And it's either someone that ran across it in the news feed, or somebody may have intentionally gone to your profile to look at it, but it's a very, very small piece of the world. But when we comment, we can be much more strategic. It's the way that we know who actually sees the words that we use. And when you piggyback it with Tom's hack, now you're saying more, you're more comfortable commenting, you're commenting more powerful, more strategic, more intelligent, if you will, words. And everybody that's commented on that post or liked that post before you is highly likely to get a notification that shows your face and your name, your headline, and tell them, hey, Tom Burton commented on this post. Come back and comment in two, right? That's you've seen him. You see him in email. LinkedIn sends you an email. Somebody commented on this post. Click here to join the conversation. And you get all the notifications in your notifications feed. So then it's being strategic. Go to post for the influential voices in your industry. Everybody should know who are the big voices in your industry. Go to their post and become a regular commenter so that you're part of that industry dialogue.
Wow. No, hold on a minute, just before you go any further, because I want to make sure I can replay what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right. We talk a lot about commenting with our prospects and the people we're trying to build and get into our pipeline or whatever. But what you're saying is look at your industry. These people may not be a prospect, but they're an opinion leader, they're a thought leader in the industry. Go start engaging on their posts.
Yes.
Right. If you need to build confidence, use the tack that I just went through or whatever, but now elevate who you're commenting with above and beyond the prospects, which inherently could elevate your, wow. That's pretty powerful, actually.
Think of it like this. So think of the big party at the conference, right? Wouldn't you love to be standing next to the person that gave the keynote address?
Yeah.
And walk into that room with them where everybody looks and goes, oh, wow, there's the keynote. Oh, and who's that guy next to him, right? That's the analogy when we become a regular commenter on their post and you comment on other people's comments, you're just part of that industry voice. And what happens then is you start getting a lot of inbound connection requests. Now your network's getting bigger, your influence is growing. More people are seeing your posts that you're creating. And overall, it's just helping you build a name and a reputation, a personal brand in your industry.
No, I think that's, we have not talked about that at all, really.
We haven't.
And I think that is an amazing, it's more than a hack, it's a strategy, right, for the whole thing. And again, some people may be, well, I'm not comfortable in that, because there's usually maybe a lot more people, a lot more comments, a lot more visibility, but that's where you can go give yourself a comment workout and get good at it. And even, and some of the people, right, you could even tell Chat GPT, hey, I'm trying to reply to so-and-so or whatever. And they may even be able to provide, even more context
Right.
on that kind of thing.
And here's the thing with the whole I'm not comfortable. Get over it.
Yeah. Well,
Like I'm kind of getting tired of being nice
I'm
and
getting that. I'm seeing that. I'm
you
seeing
know
like
this
you're
this
trying to talk like a Harley motorcycle rider.
that's right. That's right. But I'm getting tired of the oh well, I'm not comfortable with doing it. Well, you know what? Uh, do you want a paycheck or not? Do you want a bigger paycheck or not?
Yeah.
Do you want to not get downsized? Like we've got to become valuable to our companies. And the way that we do it with buyers is by doing these tactics because that's where buyers are. I mean, you can go back and make your 150 cold calls in a day. Is
Yeah.
it
Well,
proving valuable for you?
that's really, to me, I mean, you talk about dark social, right?
Yeah.
That's now seating yourself and putting you in the middle of that dark social. And
Yeah.
no, I love it. My head's spinning. It's like,
Yeah.
you've been holding out on me on that one. That one is really, really good.
But these are the things that we keep talking about, like all these things that we forget to talk about that
Yeah.
are really powerful. And I would say this alongside with that one. If you have named accounts, go and put the C-suite and our executives into your fist bump or in your commenting cadence and go comment on what they're doing. And don't say, oh, well, I don't know that they're at the C-suite. Exactly. They're at the C-suite.
Yeah.
Get comfortable with it and go engage with their content.
Yeah. Well, and
So,
again, you can practice and work it out before you go do it. So you don't have to, throw it up there and hope. So,
well,
all
we'll
right.
throw this hack out there real quick before we move on. Real quick, Tom, I promise. Create posts and go put them in Modern Seller and ask the community and say, hey, I'm really nervous, but this is a post that I wanted to post. Can you give me some feedback? Or
Yeah.
do that with your comments. But that's what, think of Modern Seller as a sandbox there. Go play around. It's friendly and ask for help.
Well, you're not so friendly. You're going to be all over them.
Hey, I'm friendly when people try. I'm not as friendly when people want to cower and say, well, I don't know what to say. Well, figure it out because your paycheck might be on the line if you don't.
Well, and Dave says amen to get
Thank you,
over it.
Dave.
Growth begins at the end of my comfort zone. No comfortability equals no growth.
Yeah.
No
Thank
pain,
you.
no gain, whatever you want to call it. Right.
Yeah, I'll apologize if our subscriber count drops a lot after this, or
Yeah.
maybe it'll shoot up. Who knows?
All right, let's go to the next hack. So I'm going to go do another AI hack. So these are a couple tools. These are probably something you haven't done before. So there's a tool out there. It's called Opus.pro, Opus like OPUS.pro. And what it will do is you take a YouTube video, like we could take the video from this show, we drop it into Opus Pro. And what it will do is it'll automatically break it up into snippets. So usually about a minute snippets, but for let's say the show's 45 minutes, it might come back with 8 or 10 snippets. Well, the 8 or 10 snippets that it comes back with are what they believe are the most compelling snippets in the show. So it looks at the video and says, okay, there's 45 minutes in here and there's 8 minutes here that are relevant, which is probably about right for our show. So, and then breaks those up into snippets. On top of that, it rates them on a scale of 0 to 100 on how compelling they believe that it is. And it puts a title on it, like a suggested title for it.
Right.
Now you could take those videos as is and use them, right? And I've had some in a caveat, I've had some issues with the video part of it working as well as I'd like to, but it keeps getting better every day.
Mm-hmm.
But you could go use those videos and post them on TikTok because they come with transcripts or everything right on
Captions.
them. Yeah, captions right on them. But then they also have the transcript of that video snippet there as well. So what you do is you copy the transcript from that video snippet, one of the compelling ones, and then you go to Chat GPT and you go basically do what I said. You're an expert LinkedIn poster, or you're an expert at making LinkedIn posts. Here, create a post out of this, blah, blah, blah. How many words, whatever you want to do on it, use emojis, make bullets, whatever. You put in that compelling content from the snippet, and it will then create a LinkedIn post for you based around that content. Then guess what? You can go link back to that original long form video in your in your post to send people back to where this actually came from. But now you're not having to go sort through that long video, find out which one really was kind of a worthwhile part of it or a compelling piece of it. This is being done for you all automatically.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff that I'm not going to talk about today, but there's some other hacks that are coming that I'll talk about on later shows that are going to be able to automate that even more. But
Yeah.
you can do that right now just through the process I went through.
With Opus Pro.
Opus.pro. And I think it's
Opus.pro.
free for a certain number of videos or whatever. But
Yeah.
if you get 8 or 10 snippets out of it, then you have, in theory, 8 or 10 posts that you could do out
Yeah.
of those snippets.
Right. And that piggybacks too with, and this audience, I don't know who's on, if they've heard us, but we talk about the value of episodic content as an accelerator to a modern selling playbook. And my belief now is that every company should have a live show and podcast like we do. And the only reason I say that now is 35 episodes into it, we've realized how quickly we've started building Modern Seller HQ. And a lot of it is because the snippets from the show are getting pushed into YouTube shorts and every TikTok and everywhere else, and how much exposure we're getting. And that's driving people into Modern Seller HQ. And it's fun when you start seeing and you start getting something moving. You start seeing people sign up. They're like, did you invite them? No. Did you invite them? No. They just found us. Right. And look, part of modern selling, the other value with these snippets is that it gives you something more valuable to share with the prospective customer than, do you have time for a meeting? Or, I'm following up on our last conversation. When you're taking these snippets, and this is what we do based on our Yellow Brick Road and Tom's book, we take snippets and we're sharing them with prospects as a way to nurture and help them. Our modern mindset number 2, I believe, is you can't control the sales journey or the buying journey, but you can influence it. And that's the way we influence it, by taking these snippets and sharing them. Here's a 1-minute little snippet on this.
Yep.
Sorry, I've talked too much today.
No, but I think the moral of the story is, and the things you're touching on, and whether you do a show like this, or you produce some longer form content, or even a webinar or whatever. I mean, the episodic content gives you so many opportunities to repurpose. And
Right.
what's happening now with AI is the tools are being more and more intelligent to allow you to maximize the 45 minutes that we're going to spend here today, to go way beyond the 45 minutes we're going to spend here today.
Yep.
And again, if you can do that repeatably over time, just the power that's created. But
Yeah.
I mean, even just heck, a month ago, or even the work that Jason does for us, right up until recent, he had to go through, watch all the video. What one looked good? What should I do here? At least now with like Opus, he can go through and get a head start and say, okay, this looks like the places that we should be focusing our effort, because this looks to be on the compelling meter a bit higher than some of the other stuff that's there. So anyway, the moral I want to do is just the ability to repurpose content and then use the tools. That's the hack, really.
Right.
And then, of course, then having the repurpose, or the content to repurpose is a key thing.
And I'm just going to pile this on a little bit first. Hey, Rob Fagan, thanks for joining us today. I'm going to pile this on again because I don't want anyone to miss it. Those snippets are really great content when strategically done to share with prospects. Mm-hmm. Number one, you're saying, oh, this is from our show. You should come join us sometime. But here's a 1-minute snippet on XYZ, which should be directed to something that either focuses on your prospect's challenge or goal or something valuable. We're demonstrating, we're acting as a trusted advisor by sharing trusted advice as part of our modern selling playbook versus, hey, do you have 30 minutes for a call?
Yeah.
Do you got time for a demo?
Yeah.
That's what I really want people to hear.
Just following up.
That's what I really want people to take away from that portion of what we talked about today.
All right, let's get to our last hack here.
Cool. And I'll go through this one quick. And we moved into publishing content. And I know, look, social, modern selling, we've got the social 2-step, right? We have to publish content and we have to comment. Both of them have their challenges for people. And we've talked about a few already with commenting, but with publishing content, I had I've had 3 conversations this week, and it's only Wednesday, with people who are experts in their field, have amazing titles with impressive companies, and the conversations came around, and I'll just call it imposter syndrome as a blanketed topic, but it's really more about fear. I don't know what to say. I'm not really sure. Will they respond? Like, all that fear gets in the way of us having a consistent social presence and using that social two-step to be successful. So a lot you can do with ChatGPT around publishing content that's industry specific, but the difference maker is our human heart. The one thing that people really do resonate is with that human feeling in post. I know some people are going, oh, business isn't supposed to be feeling. Bull, right? Business has always been feeling. If we don't like somebody, we're not going to do business with them. When we don't feel good about them, we don't do business with them. So here's the posting hack to create more of a personal touch to your post. Write posts of things that you observe, you think, or you feel. Okay, now here's the example. I've observed lately that I've talked to more and more people that are scared to comment because they don't know what to say. I've struggled with it for a long time. And here's what some of the things that I did to help me get over it. I learned way back whenever from Amy Porterfield, right? Then you can go with explaining what you think about it. Or this week, I've been feeling anxious because it's the end of the school year. Daughter number 4 is home from college. I'm sorry, daughter number 3 is home from college. Son and Zoe, Abby and Beckham and Zoe are all going to be out of school and they're all home. And then I start to feel stressed that I'm not giving them enough time because they're home a lot and I work from home. And how do you balance as a parent, Like, that's content that everybody who's a parent can relate with. And I'll say this is the example, and then I'll stop. Several years ago, I did a post about, and a lot of you probably heard the story, but I did a post about hearing a motorcycle coming up our driveway and me going, who is that? Like, I don't know. And I'm thinking about all our kids. I get to the door and there's 10-year-old Evan, 10-year-old at the time neighbor, on his little dirt bike, asking me if Zoe can come out and play. And Zoe was 8 years old. I took a picture of Evan on our doorstep on his motorbike. And I told the story about what I was going through. And it took off. It was like 60,000 views. It had over, 400 whatever likes and like 250, 300 comments. Why? Because people's human heart related to it. And I'll take one example is a woman who was a CMO of a regional bank who was not my connection, commented and said, like, oh my gosh, my husband would die if that happened with our 2 girls. So, and as a CMO of a regional bank, if I tried to call her and get on her books and everything, I never would have done it. But she connected and, we commented back and forth. I sent her a connection request. She accepted it. And then I was connected to a CMO. So the hack is this: don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're going through, whatever you're observing, I've observed lately on Zoom calls that people are more chilled about their backgrounds, right? It doesn't matter. What are you thinking? What are you observing? And what are you feeling? And please go try it because it's a game changer. I know you're going to be nervous. I know you're going to be like, oh, is it? But it's a game changer because people really start to engage with those because they feel human to human connection.
Well, and go train on ChatGPT and figure out if you feel good about your voice on those things. Again, there's no shortage of places to try it out so that you feel more comfortable, like anything else, right? You do a dress rehearsal maybe before you get on the big stage. Yeah. Plenty of opportunities for dress rehearsals nowadays. And you're right, let's do it. I mean, in Modern Seller HQ, that's a great place to do it, right? That's exactly why we exist, is to do those types of things. So, wow.
And I'm really curious with that one. I'm really curious with that one too. Any feedback, whether you put it in the comments, you watch this later and put it in the comments or message me on LinkedIn, or if you're listening to the podcast, I genuinely want to know your response to that one, because I want to help people get over their fear. And where we connect best on social is human to human, just like we connect best at a networking event, human to human, not all business, business, business. And that's the hack that I know works the best on getting better connections with human beings on social media. So love to hear the thoughts and feedback
Well,
on it.
and just to kind of wrap everything up, I think all the things that we talked about today, I'm going to go back and re-listen to this again, because I think if you took all of the things we talked about and even some of the nuances of them, of the hacks, and you applied that right into your business and social and modern selling strategy, it would certainly make it a lot more fun. You would be a lot more confident, but more importantly, you'd get a lot more results, going back to our early conversation of driving predictable revenue and having pipelines and forecasts and all the things that we want, right, as
Yeah,
salespeople. So I think there's a lot of nuance in some of the stuff we talked about today. I'm very interested to see what Opus kicks out for. I hope we get more Nate snippets from today.
that's right. That's right.
And we were live from the LinkedIn lounge. So, doesn't get any better than that.
That's a big show.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for attending as always. Brandon, thank you for all the hacks. We'll do more of this.
Thank you. We had
Yeah.
a lot of people. I don't want to leave anybody out, but I'm afraid if we start mentioning names today, we're going to miss people. So
Yeah.
thank you all so much for joining us and helping make the show so much better.
And next week, before I go, Carson will be back, but we have a special guest, Larry Levine from Selling from the Heart. So if you're a Selling from the Heart fan, and all of that, please come. I'm sure that is going to be a great conversation.
Yeah.
That's next Wednesday.
Yep. And we'll see you all in Modern Seller HQ community.
Yes. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good week.
Bye, everybody.